Hey everybody, it's finally here. My movie review for Transformers 3: The Dark of the Moon, or just Dark of the Moon, I think it's just called. Um, so yes, I did finally see the film, and here we go with the review. I must say, out of all the Transformers films, this one's the weakest. And I'm not just saying that because I love the series. This was a good movie. I enjoyed it for what it was, I guess, but it did have quite a few flaws. And I was telling I went to see this with my cousin, by the way. Um, what I really noticed about this film was it's just kind of like a lot of movie series with well, actually no, I'll talk about something else, but um, Michael Bay. What I'm really having a problem with him is he's not really taking any chances, and what I mean by that is when this film was first announced, when Transformers 3 was, when Transformers 2 was done, and people were like, "Are you making Transformers 3?" Yes, I am. He promised the fans for this final installment, because as of right now, it does sound like that this is the last Transformers movie. It doesn't sound like there'll be a Transformers 4 at any time soon. Um, he promised all of us, the fans, the moviegoers, everybody, I'm going to make a final installment that is truly going to blow you away. And what he meant by that is not only is the action scenes from the first two films going to be better, but the story's going to be better, which he did do better on. I will give him that. So better action, better story. And I guess another thing that he promised us was the girl he would choose to be Sam Witwicky's love interest would be even better. None of the above, except maybe mostly toward the storyline. None of the anything was improved, and I guess that's why I'm a little bit disappointed. And even though back then it was just like, oh cool, he's making Transformers 3 and everything. Like I said, I enjoyed the movie. I'm not saying you can't see it. I'm not saying that I didn't like it, but I'm about to go through the flaws. So my first problem with Transformers 3, the first two films, we got a really awesome opening sequence. We got in the first film, we had the Allspark, floating, and Optimus Prime telling us the history of the Transformers. Then in the second film, it's an opening with, Transformers have always been around even since the cavemen, ever since machines and technology has been around, the Transformers have been around. That was cool too. Both of those suck us right into the movie. With this opening of the third film, we're like in this world that we don't even know, and even though it's trying meant to be the Transformers world, it just didn't feel like it the way the first two films did. Because in the first two films, we see snippets of what their world looked like before they went to Earth, and it just did not feel like a world that the Transformers would live in. It felt like something from a Star Trek movie, to be quite honest, and that's actually not a good thing in my opinion. Um, So we're introduced with this whole thing that there was this inventory thing that was flying the Earth, full of transformers and weapons and backup and whatever to win the war of some kind, and it crash lands on the moon. And when the first man on the moon, they're trying to go with the whole, Neil Armstrong, I think his name was, the first man that landed on the moon, whatever his name was. He finds this machine and it's full of Transformers. That's when we were first introduced to the Transformers in general, at least at the time. But that's another problem I have with the film. I mean, in Revenge of the Fallen, for those of you who've seen that, John Turturro said that Transformers have always been around ever since the cavemen. And in this movie, they're like, "Oh, we found it when we went on the moon." And it's just like they almost completely dropped that entire thing from the second film. And I know a lot of people didn't like the second movie, but this is a series. This is a third and final installment. Stay true to your material. If the Transformers are here since the beginning of time, keep it that way. Don't just say, "Oh, yeah, we went on the moon and then we just discovered them." It's just like, no, you discovered them at the beginning of time. Keep it that way. It's a series. You made it loud and clear. Keep it that way. And so I was really unimpressed with that. So in a way, that was kind of like, oh, screw the second one. I mean, nobody liked it. Let's just say it never happened, and I didn't like that. Um, and then just as Transformers: Dark of the Moon, like, well, this is gonna be a long movie, and so then we're introduced to Mrs. Rosie Huntington Whiteley, whatever, and to be quite honest, and I know a lot of you are going to be like, oh, Megan Fox was stupid. She's just paying money and they're just glorify her. They just spent all the special effects on her looks and everything else. I'm a true believer of series that stay true to its material. And if he kept Megan Fox, if Michael Bay just kept him for one more movie, he could have done it again. And he goes with this girl that nobody's ever even heard of before he made this movie. And yeah, she has this really annoying accent. She's like, "Oh, Sam, I love you," and it's just like, oh, get another actress, please. At least someone who's acted in one movie before. And sure, she's been on a Victoria's Secret commercial, but you know what? I don't care. I want somebody who can act, who really feels like she has an emotional love interest to this character that we've known for now 3 installments now. And Michael Bay's like, oh, I'll just hire this actress that I just used for this commercial. And so, bleh, to Rosie Huntington, whatever you are, never act again, please. Um, she was annoying. I hated her. Patrick Dempsey, I know I don't want to give away his background because it might ruin the movie for those of you who are planning on seeing this. But he was bad, and I was never a huge Dempsey fan to begin with, so I was kind of like, oh, they hired Dempsey, uh-oh. Um, so I didn't like him. Um, for Frances McDormand was one of the better parts of this movie, and I think because she's married to Joel Cohen, she's more aware of what to do in movies, what not to do, because the Coens have made some masterpieces, and so she's already ready to go for this movie. John Malkovich was good. I know there's a lot of people who do not like him. I thought he was very good for what he was trying to be. He was great in this. One of the better parts of the movie, once again. Um, what else? The villains. The villains were decent, I guess. That's like I said, that's one of the better parts of the movie too. Um, I liked the Sentinel Prime. The whole thing with, oh, we think he's good, but he actually turns out he's bad. Um, Starscreen or whatever his name was, he was good in this again. Megatron was good in it again. Um, so yeah, all the people who were in the older ones were good in this one too. Um, some of the action scenes, only some, not all of them, were decent. Like I said, everything in this movie was done a million times better than the first two films. Even though I know a lot of you don't like the second one, but I personally didn't mind the second one. Um, I know he was trying to focus on storyline, but it just, in my opinion, you can't have pure story, pure action, and then pure action again, and maybe have a snippet of story again. And for me, it just doesn't work. And he was doing that in this movie, and I just didn't like that. Um, so yeah, this was a good movie, but it was. I know I've been ranting this entire time, and I'm sorry if I really got negative about this movie. I was just really, really mad because I loved the first two movies. Yes, I even liked the second one that a lot of people didn't like. These are just guilty pleasure films, and Michael Bay. It was one of those things where it's just like, if you really want to try something new, go a completely different, blow our mind direction. And for this one, it's just like, oh, they were missing storyline in the second one, so let's just give them pure story for 40 minutes. And it's just like, that does not work. And so, yeah, there's a lot of things that bothered me about this movie. So I give it about a very weak, maybe 8 out of 10, slowly working its way to 7. It almost got to a 7 for me, actually. Um, so yeah, very, very weak 8 out of 10 for me. Um, if you really like the first two, give it a try. If you really didn't like the first two, stay as far away as you can from this one. Transformers 3, only okay. A lot of better summer flicks out there than this one, to be quite honest. Um, a little disappointed, so Transformers 3, see it if you love the first two. Um, and if you didn't, just skip it all together.